It's 5:45 AM in Santiago today. You can see by the darkness behind me, and I'm going to be doing a day trip from Santiago to Valparaiso and Viña del Mar before returning later this evening. I'm here now at the bus. It cost me £3,399, which is £2.83 in British pounds one way. I'm returning from Viña del Mar, and that cost me a bit more, around £3.20. I'm here now in Valparaiso, and I fell asleep during the whole journey. So I only had 4 hours sleep last night. My alarm was even going off for about 5-10 minutes and I didn't even realise. So here I am in Valparaiso on the Pacific coast of Chile. And the first thing I can see is some street art behind me, which apparently Valparaiso is quite famous for. Just to the left they've got an inside market as well, selling similar things to the outside, except there's things like olives, cheeses inside, and spices and dried fruits. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and it's quite chilly here, so I've decided to walk towards the promenade or the coast, hoping that the sun is shining in that area. So I've got shorts on today as well. Looks like the market stalls are just being set up. So this is what the market building looks like from the outside. I don't know if you can hear that in the background already. There's some sirens going off. And my first impressions of Valparaiso is not too dissimilar from Santiago in terms of slightly dirty and slightly unkept. So it turns out I can't really reach the seafront. There's no walkway there. I just double checked the map on my phone, and also I saw this big motorway behind me, but I've got something reasonably decent here in the middle of 2 roads and a big Coca-Cola van behind me. And the sun is kind of shining in this area, but I'm just going to be walking straight up here towards Cerro Alegre, which is quite uphill, and you can see in the distance the hill sort of rising in the background behind those trees, and right up through there you can just about see. Parroquia Espiritu Santo is this church as I head up the hill towards an old house of Paro Neruda. I am now at the top of the Bella Vista and I can see the Pacific Ocean for the first time in my life. So I'm here now at La Sebastiana House, the former house of Pablo Neruda, a famous poet, but unfortunately it's closed. It says it's open from 10 till 6 except on Mondays, but I can see it from the outside, so that's fine. So I'm now near the cultural park of Valparaiso, but first I've come across cemetery number 2. Don't know where number 1 or number 3 may be, but there's number 2, and just to the side here are the walls of the cultural park. Doesn't look very open, like there's nobody around here at all, but I'm going to walk up anyway and have a look. The entrance was closed, so I'm now going to walk towards Cerro Alegre. You can see here some of the shrines, mausoleums, graves, whatever you want to call it, in the back end of the cemetery, which was over there. So I've just walked around the whole park to see if there was an entrance, but I couldn't find one. So I'm now somewhere in the depths of Cerro Alegre, I think it's called. Some very nice buildings here, including this church. And just up the road behind me, there are some piano steps. This street is called Beethoven Street, and I've had my little go in the piano. There's a whole tour group here getting their picture taken, I think, on these stairs. I presume the stairs came after the street was named Beethoven rather than the other way around. But while I was waiting here to get my picture or video, there were loads of people waiting outside this cafe, So if you're into spending monies, spending the old Bunsen burner, then this looks like a popular place for the locals to go. It's called Maria Maria, a bit of free advertising, and it's right by the Beethoven Steps, which are quite hard to find, but they're on the Beethoven Street to the right of it, heading uphill. Okay, so I've had my little play, so now I'm gonna walk up the steps. There are supposedly some sort of cable cars here that take you up to the top of the hill that I'm currently midway up, as you can see portraited here. I'm not sure where they are, but you have to pay for it, so again, that's going to be a miss from me. Behind me now is... actually, it's not. I was going to say it's Cerro Concepcion, but I think I'm actually walking on Cerro Concepcion. So this is just an uphill area, which I'm going to walk up and see if there's anything interesting up there, maybe some better views. Again, up here there's some nice paintings and a tree with some roses. Not too dissimilar from the rest of this area.
This is one of those like guidebook pictures, but they have some lovely garden awesome music. So now you can really only get it from a drone, or you gotta have.
Don't know if you heard that tour guide, but apparently 2 British people made this mural behind me. We are not hippies, we are happies. And he said because of the garden in front of it that people have made, you can only get a good picture of it from, well, with the drone. But I've just come up here to the stairs, and pretty decent view from here. I'm now at the top of the aforementioned stairs/hill. If I was to step this way, the sun would come into the camera. You can't really see down there, but the Pacific Ocean is in the background. Now on Paseo Dimalow. Looks like quite a nice street. I'm now on some kind of platform at the end of Paseo Dimalow, and there's a tour group at the top. I think there's a lift down to the bottom, and I can see where I've walked from all the way over there. So this is the sort of chairlift, ski lift, whatever you want to call it, ascensor here. Quite busy actually. Just coming inside, it looks like it's still operated by hand. Let's try going down this slide behind me. Seems like it could go quite fast. Some more colourful stairs. I don't know if you can see that artwork of a woman there.
But even though that people respect murals, birds didn't, Okay. So before this, that you can see, Nico Vidoro had a mural, and he came with an idea when he could change it because it was time to change, that somebody else again. So now the birds already visit it again. So surely this isn't somebody who will come and paint a new one because it's damaged. That's how the murals change again. Okay.
Bit of free information from a private tour guide there, and the woman on the stairs was, I think, Violeta Parra, which is a famous musician. And there's an alien behind me.
Vai mais pertinho do muro, que aí dá pra dar uma...
Because she goes, she's going to do it. That's why she went out there. Do you want to sign? No, I'm good.
There's loads of people here, so I was going to try and get a video of myself on the slide, like this, like this little boy. But I'm going up to the top section because it's less busy up there, and there's also a place where you can still slide up there. Just here behind me, I don't know if you can see, there's a flat section where those people just are standing now, so I can probably do a video from up this top section. It's not very slidey.
cute snake, a little bird. Here, would you mind it?
Okay, really insightful information from the tour guide there, just looking at the art and saying there's a snake and a bird. Brilliant. There's so many tour groups here. Look at all these people. Maybe they're paying tips at the end, maybe they're not. I'm definitely not today. Or I'm heading down the stairs to, well, I'm sort of done here in Valparaiso, so I'm going to try and get a local colectivo, I think they call it, rather than an autobus because it's smaller and cheaper and quicker. And I'm going to go to Viña del Mar, I hope. And I didn't realise before I started walking down the stairs, it's currently behind my head, so you can't see that they're colourful. There you go. Tell a lie, I'm not leaving yet because apparently there's a palace up ahead of me. Up an opposite set of stairs just here. Occasionally walking through these streets in Valparaiso, it's got a sort of smell of urine. So I'm at the top now, and apparently this here is Palazzo Babrizza. I don't think it looks very open, but I'm going to walk around. You've got quite nice views of the sea. You can't really see because it's so bright. So I'm basically on the other side, I think. It's almost two hills in Valparaiso where I've just been walking, and the other elevator down is just here behind me. And look at this sort of, almost looks a bit of favela-like, with all these houses in the background, and you can see over there like a port area as well, sort of more container-led operations. It is £4 to enter the museum or the palace. And sorry, 4,000, that's around £3.50. Entonces voy a jugar a Viña del Mar, and that is why I am now going to leave to Viña del Mar. Someone's been robbed, but he has been entered into the museum. This is what it looks like from the outside, pretty decent view. I've got a feeling that maybe this area here, or maybe just a bit further, is Viña del Mar, where I'm now heading. I don't think it's too far away on a small bus, maybe no longer than half an hour. And as I walk back down the steps that I came up, I can see the dodgy state of the buildings here. On the back face of them, they almost look sort of like the copper's rusting a bit, or the tin, or whatever you want to call the material. I don't know if it's supposed to be, but this reminds me of the guy from Coraline. Of Iquique and the Battle of Punta Groesa were two battles that this square where I'm currently stood honours the soldiers who passed away during those battles. And you can see this massive building behind me. It says Armada on it, so I think it's something naval related, and it dates back to the 1800s. This square named Sotomayor, named after Sotomayor, and it used to be sea land, and they filled it with sand at the time, and now it is the main centre square in Valparaiso. And in the middle of the square, as well as I think a fire extinguisher who's beeping his horn, there are lots of market stalls, as you can see behind me. On a very hot day in Valparaiso. He's really beeping that horn, isn't he? Apparently this monument, according to this tour guide, is different because it has a condor on one side and a horse on the other side. I don't know the reason why, but I'm sure he's going to get a tip for it. Now, I don't know whether you could see, but I definitely couldn't see when I was showing this building last time, is this sort of repair works going on at the front of it, so it's lucky I didn't see that the first time around. This is my next destination. Just come into some kind of cultural museum with some reasonably interesting pieces of art here. Quite like these dolls. Personajes porteños. I don't know what porteños is, and I don't need to speak much Spanish to work out what personajes means. My analytical skills are telling me that this sort of centre or museum, whatever you want to call it, it is free by the way, is focused on music, as I have noticed all of the instruments and musical connotations in these pieces of art. It's quite an interesting room. Something that you normally expect to see on the streets, but this is inside a building in its own little cubbyhole. Another closed off section with, I think this is chalk graffiti here. You can just about see some outlines of faces If you're interested in coming in here, it's just to the left of that Armada building in Plaza Sotomayor in Valparaiso, so I'd actually recommend it. Free place. There are free toilets in here as well. ¿Dónde puedo autobús a Viña del Mar?
Sí. Por esta calle que está aquí,
¿Sí?
se va derecho hasta el final,
Bueno, sí.
hasta la última calle, y va a ver que todos los vehículos se van en dirección hacia allá.
Sí.
Esas micros, que son plumas con naranjo,
Sí.
o naranjos completos, van a Viña.
Bueno. Hola, ¿vas a Viña del Mar? Gracias. So I'm now off the bus in Viña del Mar. Looks like I got the number 107. Cost me 500 pesos, which was around 40 British pence or 50 US dollars in cents. And it looks quite nice here. I've got off by the main road, I think, going through the middle of Viña del Mar. I don't know if they've got their own flag here behind me. That's the Chilean flag, obviously. I don't know if that's the flag of Viña del Mar. And I say Viña, even though it's written as V-I-N-A, they pronounce it as Viña here. And if it was written as B-I-N-A, they would pronounce it as Viña. Behind me, as I'm walking through the street, is Palacio Carrasco. And just behind that is a parroquia. You can see there. Can you see him in the drop top, blasting the music out? Sun's out, roof's down. I'm here. Oh, he's turned it down. I'm here at the parroquia now, what you previously saw about 10-20 seconds ago. So I'm going to go inside and take a look.
Amarillo es el arca de la alianza. Lo encontramos en el libro de Éxodo, capítulo 25, cuando Yahvé le manda a Moisés construir el arca de la alianza. ¿Cómo se aplica esa figura amarilla?
So I've walked to the other end of town and there's lots of sort of shopping malls here, lots of shops. I'm going to go in and see if they have a cheap pair of shoes to replace my current shoes that I've been wearing, which are melted on both sides. You can see that on one of my shorts, how I melted my shoes, a £40 shoe meltdown. I've just come out of the decathlon and I've done none of the decathlon activities. No running, no swimming. A swimming part of the decathlon? I don't know. But I bought a pair of trainers for around 19 British pounds, 21,000 Chilean pesos, that's around 20 US dollars. Quechua, and apparently they're walking sort of shoes slash boots. Por la playa de Viña del Mar. The sun's sort of gone away, it's turned a bit cloudy, but you can see how far the coastline stretches here, the Pacific Ocean, and some big tankers out in the distance as well. There's lots of music and playgrounds and stalls here on the side of the promenade. And here behind me you can see the pier that sticks out into the Pacific Ocean in the direction of roughly Easter Island. It's probably around a 20-minute walk from one end of the beach to the other, and I'm walking to the other, where there should be a flower clock. Nice trees being sold here, people eating their equivalent of fish and chips by the seaside. There's some interesting statues here. I don't think you can hear them anymore, but there are actually seagulls here. I think it's the first time I've heard or seen seagulls since I left for South America. So over there is some kind of castle-shaped building, and I have to walk around to the left and around to the flower clock, one of the most famous sites here in Viña del Mar. This area interests me a reasonable amount, so I'm going to flip my camera around. Now, on the left, you have a river. You can see the bridge there with the traffic crossing. Then you have this sand in the middle, and then the Pacific Ocean there. Now, it makes me wonder if I came here with a spade, a big one would be useful, and dug from the Pacific Ocean through this sand a well for the water to seep in from the ocean. Would that change the landscape here in Viña del Mar? I am now crossing Puente Casino, where you can see that aforementioned sandy stretch and the Pacific Ocean behind it on one side, and more into Viña del Mar on the other side. And it's called Puente Casino because there is a casino just at the other end of the bridge. Here are the seagulls. How romantic here in Viña del Mar. Here is the other flag I mentioned earlier, closer up. It's almost got blue and yellow and white with a kind of tangerine in the middle. So I am here now at the flower clock, and there's a few people in costumes like Darth Vader just here. And you've got Deadpool here. I don't really want to engage with them. Looks like they're going around looking for tippity tips. It's not as busy here as I was expecting. You can see the second hand moving. Not sure if the time's actually correct. It says 20 past 2. It is correct. Okay, I'll give it its due. Fair enough. As you can see, there's quite a lot of tourists here. When I arrived here by bus, I actually saw this area, and it was almost double what it is now. So, yeah. Bit of a child trap with all these costumes. And this is the last place I'm visiting in Viña del Mar. I've got around half an hour before my bus arrives. And this is Palacio Vergara. Now, unfortunately, this opens at 3 o'clock. My bus departs at 3:30 and it takes 20 minutes to walk from here to my bus. However, it suggests arriving 15 minutes before departure, so I'm going to leave it for today. But the outskirts of the palace are very nice. You've got really tall trees, you've got some fruit trees as well, nicely planted beds here, and there should be an amphitheatre just a couple of minutes away, which I'm going to look for before I head to the Terminal de Buses. Is there a fire drill? 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 Look how big this amphitheatre is. It's massive. I don't know what the capacity might be. You've got more seating down there at the front. Not sure what these fireman training sessions are all about. And it's all made of stone at the upper end, and down at the lower end the seats and the stools are made of metal. It's quite a nice open-sided amphitheatre as well, with all the greenery surrounding it. I don't know if you can see through the pillars these lovely trees. It is set in the middle of a park, and it's conveniently uphill as well, so maybe they've not had to build as much because it's already uphill due to nature. So this is me saying adios to Viña del Mar and Valparaiso, although I already left there earlier, and I'm heading towards the bus station now. Maybe I'll record getting on the bus, something like that, or a bit of a bus station. I'm now here just outside the Terminal de Buses. Some nice artwork here again. See the bus station there on the corner.